Hi, Charmaine James here with Locsanity. Today we are going to do a detox. This is one of the videos I know lots and lots of people have been asking for again and again and again. Finally, I have a great model, Dwayne, that's going to sit with us and do a detox. Now, Dwayne has locks that are almost down past his waist, which is a lot of hair, a lot of locks. Probably the biggest set of locks I've ever done a detox with. So y'all say a prayer for me and let's jump to it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the water, and as I mentioned before, I want the water as hot as I can possibly tolerate it. So I'm going to have Dwayne just test it out, make sure that it's tolerable for him. That's good? All right. Because everyone's tolerance level is different. And then, as I mentioned before, I start with about a gallon of water is what I'm starting with. And depending upon the thickness of the locks, I'm going to then keep adding water. So here I've added a bit of water. Dwayne has super long locks that is just sucking up all of that water. It's just drinking it up. And this is the line that I'm shooting to hit. So I want to kind of go up to that line, and then I'm going to stop there and check to see if it's starting to creep underneath and out, because I don't want to wet up Dwayne's shirt. So here I have a good amount of coverage. You'll see that all of the locks that are in the basin are completely covered, and you'll let me know if you feel any water trickling out. So now you see I have all of the locks that are actually in the water, and now I'm going to go ahead and open up my detox powder. And the one that I'm using today is the Bold detox powder. So here I have my detox powders, and since Dwayne has very, very long locks, very long and very thick locks, I'm actually going to be really generous, and I'm going to use like about half of the bag. And you'll see immediately as I put it in, you'll see that it starts to bubble up. And I'm going to push it down and soak the locks in. Make sure that it gets completely dissolved. Now, in addition to that, what I am going to do, because it has been a couple of years since Dwayne has detoxed his locks, I'm also going to use the apple cider vinegar, the Rosewater apple cider vinegar, just for some of the areas that I may have like a little bit more buildup than others. And usually you can tell those areas because they'll be a little bit white. And so oftentimes people will mistake that whiteness for, let me get on here. Sometimes people mistake the whiteness for lint, but in actuality, most of the time it's just buildup. And then I'm gonna go on the side here. And most importantly, I don't know about other folks, but for me, around my edges and in the back is where I have the most buildup. Now, once I have that in there, I'm gonna take some of the water, and usually I'll use a cup, but I don't have a cup, so I'm just using my hand here. Oh, my fingernail got caught. And I'm going to take the water because I want to get all of the locks, the ones that are by the scalp. I want to get those too, so I'm just scooping some of the water and putting it up over the locks to make sure that all of the locks are covered. And as you can see, one of the things that I'm doing, which is really important, is I'm squeezing the locks. So as the locks are in the water, you'll see that I'm actually grabbing them and I'm squeezing them. And what I'm doing is I'm squeezing whatever dirt, debris, oils are stuck in the locks. I'm squeezing the locks to get that out. And now we're going to allow Dwayne to just sit and relax for about 30 minutes while the detox does its thing. One of the popular questions that I always get is, well, I shampoo my locks, so I don't really need to detox. That is such a big fault. Anytime that you go in and you shampoo your locks, you'll see that you're washing the outside. So if you consider, let's say, for instance, like a sponge, if I have a sponge and the sponge has soaked up oil and debris and such, that's inside of the lock. And so when you just go on the outside and you're just washing the outside, which is what happens when you're shampooing, you're not getting the stuff that was absorbed into the locks. And so that's why you typically, anytime you're going to do a detox, you want to use the water as hot as you can possibly tolerate it, because you want it to seep into the locks and to kill any microorganisms that might be growing in there. Yes, mold, mildew, all of those things can actually grow inside of the locks if they're not being properly cared for. So typically you do want to try to get a detox. I would say at least every 1 to 2 months. It really does depend upon your level of activity. On a daily basis, as you're out and about, your locks are picking up dirt, it's picking up debris. Even from your own skin, you're picking up sebum on a daily basis, and all of that is going into the lock. So if you look into the mirror and your locks are starting to look a little gray, a little dingy, it's definitely time for you to get a detox. Now it's been about 15 minutes. We're at the halfway point, so now we're just gonna check in on Dwayne, see how he's doing and how the detox is coming along. Now, as I pulled the locks aside, you'll see that we've made a great deal of progress. You'll see that that water has gotten quite dirty, and these are all the things that were actually in the locks that we're just pulling out. I'm now going to massage the locks a bit. As I mentioned before, you want to squeeze them because we're squeezing out all of that dirt, debris, all that gunk that may have been trapped in there. We want to just squeeze it and get it on out. All right, so Dwayne is half asleep and we have another 15 minutes to go, so we'll be back in a bit. So another question that we also get is, Charmaine, I've got short locks. How do I detox my locks? So when you lay down in the basin, you're going to have the back part of your locks is going to be in the basin itself. Now, as far as like the top and the sides, this is where either having someone that really loves you close by, or you can do it yourself by simply getting like a coffee mug or a cup and simply scoop up the water and pour it around the perimeter, and be sure that you're reaching in the back and you're also getting the nape of the neck where I tend to have a lot of buildup. So now we're at the end. We've been detoxing for 30 minutes. Of course, you don't always have to detox for as long. I did it for 30 minutes today because we hadn't detoxed in a year or so. And so we wanted to make sure we got out as much as we possibly can. One of the things that I also do for my locks, I didn't do it today for Dwayne's locks because Dwayne's texture is a lot looser than mine. I'm a 4C, so I have a very, very tight texture. And so I have a tendency of really trapping a lot of sebum, a lot of dirt and debris. So from time to time when I'm doing my detox, I'll use like a little brush. And you'll see that this is a pretty soft brush, so it's not going to take the hairs out of the locks themselves. And what I'll do with these is that where I see that I have like a lot of white and a lot of buildup, I'll actually use the brush to brush those areas when I'm doing the detox to try to make sure that I'm getting as much of that debris and that trapped sebum out of the locks as I possibly can. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, and Dwayne has fallen completely asleep. When I say this is the most relaxing spa day you could have for yourself and your locks. So now I'm going to gently pull up his head and I'm going to start squeezing the excess water from the locks. And this is where if you have a lot of locks like Dwayne, it's very, very helpful if you have someone that can help you. It's a little bit tough. And you're gonna sit up for me slowly. And I'm going to just put a towel underneath so as to not wet up his shirt. And you're gonna sit up gently for me and slide back. And as he's sitting up, I'm squeezing out as much of that water out as I possibly can. And you'll see that the color of the water certainly has changed quite a bit. That's all of what was trapped in the locks, weighing us down and making our locks look dull and dingy. And so now, off to shampoo. All right, so there you have it. There's the color of the water after we've detoxed the locks. Around our house, we usually have a little contest to see whose water is the cleanest. So I'd love to see what your lock water looks like. So drop me a video and let me see. So after we detoxed for 30 minutes, now I went ahead and I shampooed Dwayne's hair. Let me tell you, that gave me a hell of a workout. If I was gonna go to the gym before, I no longer need to go for the rest of the week. I am excused from seeing any gym or anything with the name G in it. After I shampooed the locks, you'll see that because Dwayne has a lot of hair, his locks were really, really heavy. It really absorbed a lot of the water. So what I'm going to use is I use a microfiber towel. When it comes to locks, one of our biggest enemies is lint. We want to try to avoid lint like the plague. And so by using regular towels, you'll see that there's always like little pieces of fiber and things coming off of it. With these microfiber towels, these are lint free. They're of course from Locsanity, you know. And what I do is I'll take sections. So I'm taking 4 sections of Dwayne's hair. And with each section, I'm wrapping the towel around the section. And then I'm going to squeeze, twist, and squeeze to get as much of that water out of the hair and into the locks. These towels are absolutely amazing because unlike the regular towels that you have at home, they suck up and just suck out so much of that moisture into the towel, so you're spending less time drying later. So I go through and I do all 4 sections. By then, he's starting to see a lot less weight on the locks, but we have one more step to really dry them out. So after the shampoo and also drying with the microfiber towel, now I have Dwayne under the dryer bonnet. This is gonna speed up his drying time and mean that he doesn't have to go to bed with wet locks. After he comes out of the dryer, the next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to oil his locks and moisturize his locks. In the detox process, we're pulling out a lot of nutrients that the locks need, that the individual hair strands need, and so we do want to go ahead and make sure that we put back a lot of that. And so with that, I'm going to be using our Winnie from our Winnie collection. I'm going to be using the rolling oil. In addition to that, I'm also going to be using a lot of our black castor oil and just go through and individually rolling each of the locks, making sure that they're all nice and oiled and they feel very, very nourished and very, very healthy. Well, thank you for spending a lot of time with us learning about how to detox your locks. I would love to hear how your detox went. Do you use all of the products that we use? Are you using the detox, the apple cider vinegar? What does your water look like after you finish detox? I want to hear all about it. So go ahead and drop me a line. Let me know how it works out for you.